Now look, before we get into this video, the overall tone is fairly pessimistic. I am excited for this game, don't get me wrong, and I'm sure the game will be fantastic and I will love it. But the hype train for this game never really left the station. Today I want to take a look at the last 6 years of waiting for a new Zelda game and talk about why I'm just not that hyped. Or at least not as much as I think I should be, or as much as I'd like to be. Almost 4 years ago at this point, we got our first look at the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at E3 2019. The trailer was moody and scary and established a tone that was distinctly different from the original. There was no gameplay, but for a direct sequel that's not really an issue. What there was a glimpse at a deeper story and the morbid image of Ganondorf's rotting corpse. There was also some talk about the team aiming for a darker tone for the game, which is really exciting for a lot of fans. From this trailer, it seemed like the story would be a bigger focus than in Breath of the Wild, though there's definitely some possibility we get baited again. After the 2017 Breath of the Wild trailer, I thought it was going places with its story that it never did. So, we'll see. Cautiously optimistic on that front. Being a sequel to what is probably my favorite game of all time, I was obviously really excited at this stage. This was a massive announcement, and what was great was that because it was a direct sequel and the same game engine, we'd get this sequel pretty soon, a la Majora's Mask. Or so we thought. You see, the original Breath of the Wild took so long because the physics engine is incredibly complex and all the game's different systems need to blend with each other elegantly. So we figured that with all that done, the next game should be out in maybe 2 years, and it'll be nice. Maybe it won't shake the world like Breath of the Wild did, and that's okay. It'll be a new Zelda game in 2 years, give or take. But apparently we couldn't have been more wrong. As of March 28, 2023, it is pretty apparent why the sequel is taking so long to develop. This new fusion system that lets the player craft weapon structures in vehicles from seemingly almost any in-game item looks to be incredibly robust, and no doubt a lot of time went into it to get it to work seamlessly. After 4 years of waiting, we finally have a glimpse of what the game is like, and it looks really promising. Why did they wait so long to show us the core hook? Stepping back again, the next time we saw the game was at E3 2021, 2 full years later. For new games, this isn't entirely uncommon to go 2 years without hearing of a game, but for a direct sequel on the same platform, it was kind of worrying. The trailer we got here was officially billed as a teaser, but it was definitely meatier than the first teaser. We got our first look at what makes the game different, the sky. We also saw some of Link's new abilities, and new enemies. But the teaser was so short, it almost felt like too little too late. After not hearing anything for 2 years, people expected the big reveal. The best we got was a 2022 release window, and despite Zelda's long history of being delayed, I think most people thought this date would stick, because surely an asset-reusing sequel would.
もう少しお時間をいただきたく、発売を2023年春に変更させていただきたいと思います。
Again, we were faced with disappointment. In March of 2022, Nintendo quietly dropped a video on their YouTube channel announcing that the game would be pushed back to spring 2023, at least a year more of waiting from that point. And we still didn't have much to go on. The E3 trailer was cool, but as more and more time passed, it became hard not to be disappointed by how little we knew, and honestly how little we still know now, about what makes the game worth it. We got a tiny sliver of new footage in this announcement though, featuring a corrupted Master Sword. While we still don't know anything about this, it's depicted this way in the official title art, which we'll get to soon, but it was the barest of crumbs at this point, and 5 full years after the original game had launched. Then we had another long wait to hear about the game, until finally, in 2022, the September Direct, we got our first official trailer, which was shorter than the second teaser, the first 40 seconds of which is a cinematic look at wall carvings and stuff, depicting an ancient battle, but not apparently revealing anything new. We got a few glimpses of gameplay, mostly Link running around and falling through the sky, but again, nothing substantially new. Finally, we get the name reveal, Tears of the Kingdom. At E3 21, Aonuma said they wouldn't reveal the name of the game just yet for fear it would spoil the story. While the name maybe alludes to events in the game, details about the story are so sparse that it hardly impacts anything. But I will say, keeping the name from us for this long kept us on the hook, but the payoff for the long wait was a little underwhelming. We also got a May 12, 23 release date. And I felt nothing. Part of me didn't think the date would stick, though I guess it seemed fairly likely, but I almost just didn't care. When the Breath of the Wild release date was unveiled at the end of the January 2017 Switch presentation, I was weeping, genuinely sobbing from excitement because the game was given so much ceremony, so much weight, and it felt like finally we had been rewarded for waiting so long. But this time, it was almost a footnote at the end of a throwaway trailer. We'd been waiting so long for a shred of anything at this point, to still know nothing about the game and be given the release date, the game didn't seem real enough. I don't know, it just didn't land for me. And the more I rewatch and look back on it, yeah, that was a bad trailer. Genuinely nothing to be excited for about it except the name and release date reveal. Especially as a direct finisher, super disappointing. Note that this is the third update we've gotten on the game that has been largely disappointing or underwhelming. February 2023. Another direct closes with Tears of the Kingdom. We know it's coming, we haven't seen it yet, and it's gonna be here in a few months. We've got to see it today. Today is the day for the big reveal. And yeah, we got a solid trailer. Some nice new enemy variety, new weapons, underground areas, a nice blend of actual gameplay and cinematics. But it felt like the trailer we should have gotten at E3 21. Nothing major was revealed, just a lot of things that were alluded to. 3 months out from launch, I was definitely beginning to worry what this game had to offer. Maybe the game took so long because they just had no clue what to do with it. The trailer itself was fine this time, but after so many years of waiting and 4 trailers, it seemed like it didn't have much else to offer. Now, deep in my heart, I knew this couldn't be true. The way they were being so stingy with info on this game is obviously intentional. They're keeping fans on the hook by teasing so many things and revealing none. I just don't care. 7 to 8 years ago, I would have loved this. I spent hours making fan theories and digging into every piece of info they gave us on Breath of the Wild. I wrote essays and blogs. I was on the Zelda Amino app. I spent hours poring over gameplay footage. I tried to glean absolutely everything out of what they had given us. But oh my god, I can't do that anymore. I'm busy. I just want them to tell me why I should care about the game beyond it being a sequel to Breath of the Wild. That can't be the only hook. And I shouldn't have to spend hours figuring out why I should care. You should tell me through the marketing. And then the people with the time can do all the digging and find the fun little secrets. But the secrets shouldn't be the only thing keeping me going. And if I feel this way about the game, me, a Zelda superfan and Breath of the Wild fanatic, how do the casuals feel? Does anybody even care? Somebody who just picked up Breath of the Wild because everybody said they had to get it with their Switch. Do they care? Do they know that this game is coming? Nintendo has closed off so many directs with Tears of the Kingdom and given us absolutely nothing. So yeah, I was worried at this point, and I was tired of it. Then the collector's edition art book leaked somehow, and I took a few glimpses, just enough to assuage my fears by seeing that there is a lot that they haven't shown. No spoilers here, though, I'm not going to show anything, but it eased my mind a little bit. But still, it was hard not to be disappointed by this marketing. I just want to be excited for the damn thing. At this point, I know and I'm confident that there is so much we aren't seeing. And while I generally don't like to know too much about a game before going into it, I like to be able to imagine myself playing it. I need to know enough about the game to know how it plays so I can imagine what the gameplay loop is like and I can conceptualize what it is that I'll be playing. As of writing this a couple days ago, Nintendo started marketing the game by posting clips of the OG Breath of the Wild. Seriously? I mean, it's starting to get a little cheap how much they're banking on your love of the first game instead of actually showing us the second one. But finally, they announced a 10-minute gameplay demo of the game. The demo starts with Link on the ground, and I am immediately slammed by the fact that, yeah, this is still distinctly Breath of the Wild. Which, obviously, it's a sequel, that makes sense, and it's not a bad thing. But I've spent 300 hours looking at that UI, listening to that horse riding music. A little bit of dread set in. What if it's just too similar? I mean, this entire time, any excitement I've had has been for the sequel to Breath of the Wild. But it's been 6 years. That's enough time to get a fat, full new Zelda game. And we've waited that whole time to play a game that is set in the same world with the same graphics, visual, and audio identity. The game doesn't have that new Zelda feel. And after all this time, will this be enough? But then Link zips up into the sky and they casually reveal what has the potential to be the most robust crafting system in an open world game. In this 10-minute showcase, the majority of the time was spent showing off the Fuse and Ultra Hand abilities, which allow Link to forge custom weapons out of anything that isn't nailed down. It's hard to say for sure at this point, but this seems like it will be incredibly versatile and revolutionize a whole new aspect of open world games. Breath of the Wild undeniably revolutionized the way people think about how open worlds are designed and how the player can explore them, and when the sequel was announced, I wasn't expecting another revolution. I expected the game to focus on the same ideas, refine them a little bit, and just drop a brand new story onto it all, but that doesn't seem like the case. This fusing system breaks the rigid bonds of menus and set recipes that hold almost all crafting systems hostage. It also allows for some pretty personalized builds and creations, and I already know that people will be doing crazy stuff with this for years to come. After years of waiting, we finally have the hook to this game, and it is fantastic. So why do I almost not care? At every turn, the marketing for this game has left a bad taste in my mouth. Each trailer has disappointed, and the excruciating wait has definitely dulled my hype. And while writing this video, and rewatching this gameplay, and watching other videos picking apart for secrets, it's gotten me pretty excited, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm still not pumped. I'm not frothing at the mouth for this game, and I really wish I was. I've talked about it on a few different occasions at this point, but the Breath of the Wild hype cycle was major for me, and is a lot of the reason why I engage with this medium and the news cycle the way I do. And frankly, it's probably the reason I have a channel at all. So after 6 years, I'd just like to be really excited for a Zelda game again. It comes out in just over a month, and that reality hasn't really set in. Or maybe it has and I just don't care that much, I'll play it when I play it. I don't know. And maybe my thoughts will shift as the game gets closer and it finally hits me. That said, I am still excited, just a very normal amount. I've got the game pre-ordered, a Pro Controller pre-ordered if I can scrounge up the money for it, and I don't need to see any more of the game. Even if they showed more at this point, I'd probably not watch it. It's just too late. Regardless of how scuffed I feel the marketing has been, I know the game is going to be great and I'm gonna love playing it. The point is that over the last 4 years since the game was revealed, I think Nintendo has played their cards too close to their chest even for a Zelda game. The result in me and many others that I've talked to is a general lack of active excitement. Everyone is passively excited, but it's nothing like the hype usually is just before a brand new 3D Zelda releases. The concept for the game is just so unclear at this point. It's hard to be excited for something so abstract. It's hard to know what I should be excited about. Does this have any actual consequences? No, not really. The game is being heavily pre-ordered and Nintendo already has their audience for this game. I don't think it'll sell as well as Breath of the Wild, but I'm sure it'll still be a commercial success with no problem. It's just not that fun to wait for, and the waiting is what makes new releases fun. It's also, I don't know, kind of a silly problem to make a video about. Sure, it's nice to be excited for things, but we're pretty lucky as Zelda fans to be able to say, I'm just normal excited, and not actually losing my mind, frothing at the mouth, exploding to play this game. Anyways, that's all I have to say. If you feel the same, let me know in the comments, and if not, I am really curious what's kept your excitement up all this time. Either way, would love to hear from you, and I'm not just saying that because it drives engagement. Responding to comments is actually one of my favorite things to do now. Thanks for watching. Cheers.